Hey friends, welcome to One Little Coder. In this PyScript tutorial, we're going to learn how to implement upload CSV functionality on your PyScript web application. If you have followed my PyScript tutorial, you might know that we already learned how to upload a local file from your local file system into your PyScript web application. We also learned that PyScript web application has got a separate file system, which is a virtual file system, and your local file system is a separate file system. So moving file from one file system to another file system is slightly tedious, and we learned how to do it primarily based on what JavaScript used to do. So what I'm going to show you in this video is completely different method which takes advantage of a library called Panel. So Panel is a library that a lot of people have been using in Python to create dashboards and visualizations. So we're going to use Panel widgets to create the same functionality. As you can see on the screen right now, I've got a choose file button and I've got an upload button. I've got a choose file. This is when I click, it's going to open my file window, and then I've got an upload button. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just drag and drop. I'm going to say drag and drag and drop here. So as you can see now, once I dropped, instead of saying no file chosen, it's going to say temp.csv. I can probably make it big. Yeah, this is too big. That's fine. So at this point, we have got temp.csv loaded here, but still you don't see anything because I've not clicked the upload button. So now I'm going to click the upload button, and the moment I do it, you can see that I've got a table displayed below. So this table was not available before, and it comes after we upload this CSV file. So after I upload the CSV file, you can see the table available here. You can paginate it. You can do all those things. This is exactly what we are going to learn to build in this PyScript tutorial. If this is something that interests you, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope I will not disappoint you. And let's get started. So first of all, I've got my VS Code, and my VS Code in this case is going to be heavily JavaScript focused VS Code. Why? Because we are using Panel. Panel has got a lot of dependencies, so we need to import all the JavaScript components. For example, Vega Lite used for visualization, Tabular.js, which is used for the table that we showed, bouquet components, and then Panel. So we are going to use all these JavaScript. So I would link this code in the YouTube description, so you can also just copy paste it and use it, or you can also see this in the bouquet or Panel documentation. So first step, inside your head, import all the required JavaScript components, which in this case includes Vega, bouquet, Panel, Tabular.js. Okay. So after you do that, our regular JavaScript component, which is we need PyScript.css and PyScript.js. So after we have these two, now it is important for us to define what are the libraries that we want to use. So we want to use, of course, we don't want NumPy. So we want to use Pandas and we want to use Panel. So Pandas and Panel. So Pandas and Panel will help us do two things. Pandas for reading CSV, Panel to create the interface that will actually upload the CSV in the first place. So we're going to use Panel to create the widgets, input and output widgets, Pandas to actually read the CSV, the content of the file, and then whatever we want to do, we can do it. So the reason why I'm using 0.13.1a2 is because the actual Panel version that is currently available has a warning message displayed when you run the application. So that's why this is not like a fully released version that you're going to use like a small patch. Okay, so if you use Panel like this, you would end up getting an error. So you don't want that error to happen. That's exactly why you would that's exactly why you want to use that's exactly why you want to use this instead of just saying Panel. Okay, and next thing is we are going to get into the body of the HTML file, which is also where you're going to design the UI component. We are going to have three components, as you can see now. Let me quickly show you again. Let me refresh the page. Okay, it's going to take a lot of time. So when you refresh the page, you're going to see three components. One, you're going to see a file upload, choose file button. Second, you're going to see an upload button. And third, you're going to see a table. You're going to see a table. So these are the three components that you're going to see. File upload button, file input. So okay, we have got an h1 tag, which is basically this one, right? Then we have got a choose file button, which will help us choose the file. And let me cancel this. And then we have got an upload button. So we have got choose file, we have got upload. So we have, you at this point you can see 1, 2, 3 components, and then you have got the fourth component, which is the table, right? So all that we have is 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is already rendered. This is placeholder. This is a placeholder, and this is a placeholder. We have got 3 UI components. 1, which is a simple title. 2, which is an input. 3, which is a click event, like something has to happen there, like a button, like an action component. And then a fourth, a place where you display the output, which in this case is a table. So after you have all these 4, now is the part where you're going to deal with the main code. So now that is the time when you're going to open your PyScript. So PyScript is where you're going to write the Python code that will help you do whatever we wanted to do, which is upload a CSV and read that CSV and display the CSV. This is what we actually want to do. Now, what are the libraries that we want? You already know that we have called for 2 libraries, Pandas and Panel. NumPy is not required again if you want to keep it. I mean, NumPy is already there, part of Pandas, so it doesn't really make sense. So, but what are the libraries that you want? First library that you want is import async IO. I think one of the videos I've already told, Python usually executes everything line by line procedural, but on the browser, a lot of things are asynchronous. So to have the asynchronous execution possible, you need import async IO. Next is the panel library that we just discussed about, which you're going to use to create the UI component and also the output component. Pandas needs no introduction for tabular data manipulation. And then finally, for us to take a Python element and then write it on an HTML element, we need show from panel.io.py. What do I mean by that? For example, how do you put something inside this file input? How do you display the table inside this table ID, which is an element? So that is what we are going to use to do with panel.io.py.show. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So the next thing is we are going to define the UI components. Now that we have imported all the required libraries, we are going to import the UI components, or we're going to create the UI components. I'm sorry. We're going to create the UI components. Now the first component that we all know is the choose file, where we have already given a space placeholder, and to say pn.widgets is where you have got all the widgets. You're going to use the method file input, and then you're going to say I want to accept only CSV. So you're saying that only you can upload CSV. That's why when you click this, you can see my every other file format .png, like .xlss, everything else is blacked out primarily because you cannot add this, because you have specified that you can upload only a CSV file. So if you have got a CSV file, then that file would have been enabled. Because you have disabled, everything else is disabled except CSV. So now that we have got the first component, which is file input, which is an input file component where you have got, where you are accepting only CSV. Just note down the cases here. I mean, you're going to have the code yourself, but just if you're coding while you're watching this video, which is a good practice, usually one of the best ways to learn programming is coding yourself. Like even if I share this file with you, I would strongly recommend you not to copy paste, because if you copy paste, of course, you might feel good that you have successfully ran the code, but it will not help you in learning the code. I would strongly encourage you to watch the video once and then maybe watch it second time and code it along, like code it inside if you have got 2 monitors. So file input is done. What is next? Next, we need a button like this, the upload button. So it's as simple as this, pn.widgets.button. What is the name of the button? Like what do you want to write here? I want to write here upload. And then what is a button type? The button type is going to give you a certain CSS color. So you can see at the top, we might have imported some CSS somewhere. And this button type will help us in getting that, like primary button, like whatever it is. If you do not have it, it'll be transparent and will look ugly. So to avoid that, we have button type primary. If you want to control the width of all these things, you can have another argument that says width. but I wanted to keep the code as minimal as possible. So that's why I'm not changing anything. So now this button, whatever happens with this button is based on this Python object called upload button. So now we have got two UI components. So what is the next one that we want? Next, we want to define the table. So how are we going to define the table? As we learned already, we are going to use tabular to define the table. And then we want it to have pagination, and we want like the size of the pagination to be 10. So you want to display 10 rows, and then everything else goes to the new page. So you have got the pagination. So table is equal to pn.widgets tabular, and then you have got pagination, and then you have got page size. Now imagine like you have just loaded the application, and you know about UI. UI is like when you load something, everything that you have got there would be automatically visible. How would it look if you just get an error message here at the start, where when you do not have a file, and then after you upload a file, it would display the table? It would look pretty ugly. Like you don't want such a user experience. So what we are going to do now is we are going to first hide this table. Okay, this component, we are going to hide it, and I think I can actually show you right now. Maybe let's see. When I go look for something here, body, and we have table, and you can see that I have mentioned table display is equal to none. Why? Because that will hide the table, and that's what is here. So we're going to identify the component table, and then we are going to hide the table at the start. So why are we hiding the table? We are hiding the table so that when you load the application for the first time and you do not have a CSV uploaded, it doesn't show any error. Otherwise, what would happen? I can quickly change this to block, and then you can see that it has got that empty buttons here, which I said error, my mistake, but you see these empty components which you do not want. So I'm going to change this to none so that you don't see anything, but it exists there in that particular place in this web page. It exists there, it is loaded. It's just that instead of you seeing it with block, I'm marking it none so that you don't see it at the start, which means after we upload the CSV, we are going to convert this none into a block, so which you have got already clue. So at this point, we have hidden the table, so the table is not visible. Now is the main part of how we are going to process the file, and we are going to call this process file function. So at this point, this is a normal function, but if you want this function to be async, you can again call it async here like this. But I don't want it to be async, so I'm going to just keep it a normal file function. So the function name is process underscore file, and it takes an implicit or an event argument. Why? Because we are going to, if you have watched my previous video, just the last video where we added an event listener, whenever you have an event listener, there is an implicit there is an event object being passed. So this is that event, even though we are not using it anywhere. This is just for you to receive that, and this is being actually called as a callback, but otherwise you can just keep it as it is here. So that is objective of this event here. So what you are trying to say is, if the file input value is not equal to none, which means something is uploaded. So by default, file inputs value would be none because nothing has been uploaded. But when something is uploaded, file input value would be that value. So when it is not none, you're going to use pd.read underscore CSV, take the file value and use IO. I think we called IO. So okay, there is an implicit call IO.bytes IO. So we're going to use this and read the CSV file. And after we read the CSV file, we are directly saving it in the value of table.value. It's very similar like file input dot value. So it's an attribute. So file input dot value is where when you upload something, you're going to get the content, and table dot value is where you're actually putting it inside. So at this point, you're putting this content of the CSV file inside value, which is the attribute of the object table. Now that you have got the value inside table, now you want to display the table. So like I showed here, so from none, you're going to convert into block. But now at this point, you might have the full table after you upload something. So right now, I'm going to keep it none. So this none is going to be overwritten as block here by using this statement. So now everything is fine. Okay. So we have got the function. We have got the function that actually does the file processing. How do we process file? Now, what is missing? Like, just take a couple of seconds and think. Will this code work at this point? Just take a couple of seconds and think. It won't. Why it won't? Because we have defined a function, but we have not called the function one. And when do we want to call the function? We want to call the function when this upload button is being clicked. So we are looking for a non-click event, very similar like the event listener we created a couple of videos back. We want to do a non-click event based on the button. So when this button is clicked, we want something to happen, which is to call this function process file. So upload button, right? Dot on underscore click, which is upload button on click. It's very similar like the event listener that we did. We are going to do a callback. So this is a callback. This Python function is being called here. If you remember in the previous video, we were creating a proxy, callback proxy for the Python function. But here, because everything is Python, here there is no JavaScript. You don't have to create a proxy. Rather, you have to call the function like callback. And that's where there is an implicit event that is being passed, which you need to capture here, like which you need to receive here at the receiving end. So at this point, we have an upload button. And once you click the button, it is going to, so the way the code is going to work, so you have an upload button, you click it, and then this is going to call this. And then when the file is nothing is going to happen. But the moment the file has got uploaded, which means you're going to read the file here, and then you're going to store the value on table.value. Then you're going to display it here, which you have already disabled. Okay, so let's do. Now the question is, will the code work now? Again, it would not. Why it would not? Because we have got the UI components here on the front end, file input, upload, table. But have we done anything to show these things that we just created in those places? Like, did you do anything to put whatever we just created into those? Like, it's like writing these components inside those places which we have already created as placeholder. And that's exactly why we are going to use show, which I already told you, from panel.io.pyodide import show. And this being an asynchronous event, we're going to use await and then show. So what are we showing? We want to show the file input, which is the input button, the upload button in the file input location. Second, we want to show the upload button in the upload location. And third, we want to show the table in the table location. Let me save the file. So you can see I'm saving the file and then it is loading. And I would like to show the console so that you have an idea about what is happening. Ignore a little bit error here. It's not going to affect the code. Okay, so at this point it's loading. It's going to take a little bit of time because we are importing a lot of Python libraries. But you have got upload CSV, and most likely the button should show up at this point anytime. So now you have got choose file option and you have got upload option. I'm going to quickly search for the file temp.csv. I'm going to drag and drop it here. And at this point, I've got temp.csv. Click upload. Well, you have got the interactive tabular.js powered table where you can sort, where you can you can sort, increase the size, decrease the size, go to next, last, all these things. You can do it. Now, one of the things that I actually told you, which is if you do not have this, what happens? I wanted to show you why. Like, you might be wondering, why is this guy asking me to actually use some panel version? So it's I'm not trying to hack your system. It's simply because if you do not have that, you would actually see a warning message being displayed on the page. So this might change when they make when they update the panel version, the main panel version. But at least for now, like while you're watching this video, if you're going to use this, you might actually see that warning that would say that, yeah, you're trying to generate a standalone HTML JS output, but you're trying to use real Python callback. This combination will not work. Only JavaScript callback, blah blah blah, which is basically it is saying that you have got some component here and then you have got some Python callback and you're trying to call the JavaScript Python callback from JavaScript, which will not work. I mean, in our previous world, we just talked about create proxy for the same reason, but yeah, to solve it, just use this particular patch version. And once you save it, again, I'm just reloading it using my live server VS Code extension. So at this point, it would load back, and then you would actually see that that it is working fine. I mean, I hope it is working fine. You can see the environment has been loaded with NumPy Pandas panel, the particular version that we just talked about, and yeah. So you've got choose file. Let me open a different file. Maybe revenue. Revenue would be very big. I think revenue would be better. Revenue US dot. And I'm going to load it, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to click upload. Hopefully, it doesn't crash because one of the files that I have CSV is like somewhere around 40 MB, and I have a hunch that I'm actually crashing. Oh, I didn't crash. Oh, good, good. Thank you so much. But you can see that it is a huge file. It's not a small file. You can see that it is a huge file, and exactly that is why you shouldn't always upload huge files for your demo. But all in all, I think what we wanted to learn is we wanted to learn how to create a file upload option. We learned it how to do it, especially with the CSV with pandas, without having to deal with a lot of JavaScript, which I don't think Python programmers would appreciate. You can do a lot of things. You can add some CSS and then beautify this. You can make this a navigation bar. You can try a different event type. Like instead of on click, you can try different. Instead of even having an upload file, you can try to do an event. You have a lot of options that you can try. I would strongly encourage you to try. But otherwise, this code that we just went through would be in the YouTube description, so you can just directly click it and use it. Just to quickly wrap it up, we have got head, and we are importing all the required JavaScript. Unlike our previous files, we have a huge bunch of JavaScript here because we are using a lot of external libraries like tabular.js, panel, bouquet, vega, and then we have got the PyScript components, the main engine. Then we have got the Python environment where we are seeing what are the libraries that we need. We have got an h1 tag, which is a UI component, and we have got three placeholders: one for the file upload button, one for the button where we choose the file, second for the upload button, third for the table, which is an output. So these two are inputs, and this is an output. And then we have got the main core PyScript code, which we just discussed in detail. And I'm closing the body tag, and I'm closing the HTML tag, and we have a beautiful. I'm not sure how beautiful it is, but yeah, we have a nice working web application on Python that is hosted on. You don't need a server to host this. So Python powered web application with upload CSV feature where you can upload the CSV, and then you can display the CSV using Pandas and Panel. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any question or feedback, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, I hope you stay safe. Happy coding. Peace.